sweet, I can go home.
Evan?
So, Corey, we just spoke with Marcus, and he explained kind of the awkward situation in which he found himself introducing himself to his team. What have the last 3 months been like for you, going from, signing this contract and basically you guys being anointed franchise players and faces of the franchise, having no contact with the club, and then just kind of coming out here today? What's it been like?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, signed 45 an hour right before the deadline, and then you can't talk to your new organization, your new manager, new front office. You can't figure out the ins and outs, what to expect coming in the spring, and then flash forward and you got to show up in 3 days and you're trying to scramble and figure out all those things and have a bunch of conversations just to be on the same page and know what to expect coming in and what they're looking for. So it was interesting, it was a weird start, but we're here now and we'll continue to be in contact and we're going to figure it out.
Chris?
Now that you're back in the swing of things, back to doing baseball every day, what are your overall impressions of not only new additions to the coaching staff like Donnie and Tim, but also to a lot of the younger players on the roster as well?
Yeah, I think everybody's just excited to be back out on the field, to get out there and move around, be around the guys. It was nice, I still got a lot to learn about everybody, and trying to piece together faces and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just exciting to be out there.
Kennedy?
Marcus mentioned you guys played on the 2013 Fall League together.
Yep.
I'm curious, what do you remember from that about him?
I remember a lot, I think he actually was a September call-up right before it, and then kind of to get your first taste of playing with a big leaguer at that moment and just remembering how he carried himself. He hasn't changed since then. With all the success he's had throughout his career, he's still the same person as he was back then, and you can really appreciate that and value that, and it's going to be fun to play with him.
I'm curious, talking to Woody, he really only says, like, going into the season, you need to learn how to win. You're a guy who's won a lot, been with a winning organization in the Dodgers. What are you bringing to this kind of young Rangers team?
It's just a expectation of winning. That's got to be your mindset. You expect to win every day. You're going to go out there and you're going to do what you can to win that night. It's not about looking forward and how many games you're going to win. It's about being in the moment and focusing on that day and that series and just trying to stay as present as possible, to where it's in the 7th inning and you're tied and you need to win, like you're in that moment. You're not thinking ahead, and that's the mindset you have to create.
Levi?
I know you just said it's not about looking forward to how many games you're going to win, but I think everybody knows what the ultimate goal is, right? Like, talk to anybody for 5 minutes in the front office, the coaching staff, it's we want to win a World Series. You've got a few months from a distance, I guess, to sort of assess where the team is, and probably leading up to your signing as well. Where do you see the Rangers right now as on that path to that ultimate goal? Kind of, how do you assess the roster, where it is, how far along in that quest you guys are?
There's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of new people they've brought in. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. With how we prepare, how we take care of ourselves, the strength and conditioning stuff, that all goes into where you're going to be and how successful you're going to be. Whether you have big-time superstars or you have guys that can just go out and play. It's one of those things that we don't really know because we haven't played yet, and you got to go out there and figure out how people play and get to know each other and get in rhythm and get in stride, and that's all things that we're going to try and figure out in a short time, and we'll be ready once the season starts, hopefully.
You've been here like a day, so maybe too early to ask this, but like you mentioned strength and conditioning and preparation. Is there anything in particular that you've noticed since you've been here, or maybe it was a meeting this morning, that has stuck out to you about the franchise as far as like that preparation that you're talking about?
Yeah, they're very committed to winning, and they realize that it's behind the field, it's mentality, it's stuff like that that drives that and sustains that. And they've made a conscious effort to do that sort of stuff. So that's things that stick out to me, especially that I've seen in the past and know how it works and know how it can affect you and how you can win games from it. So it's exciting to see that direction.
Thanks.
Jorge?
Corey, I know it's been 3 months since you signed,
Yeah.
but a lot's happened. There's lots of stuff going on. At what point did it hit you that, hey, I'm not a Dodger anymore?
I think kind of showing up here, like you knew it in the off season, you signed, you're super excited, had my day, you walked around, but then contact was cut off, you didn't have that period where you're still talking to those guys, so when I showed up in camp, that was kind of the moment where it like clicked back in, so it was exciting though, it for sure was.
I know you went to Justin's event.
Yep.
Was that weird?
A little bit. It was. But, I made a lot of great friends over there and a lot of guys that it wasn't just baseball, you become family oriented. So it's always great to support those guys and, and you'll always be there for them.
And then over the last 3 months, I know before that press conference, before the lockout, you had mentioned that you were kind of talking to Clayton. Did you think you get a chance to bring him over here? And when did you realize that? How often were you talking to him? Did you think you could actually?
It's one of those things where you lay it out there for him, but it's his choice. He's been around long enough to kind of know what he wants, knows what to expect, and I was just happy to see him come back, and I was just happy to see him healthy. Knowing kind of what was going on, and there was always those doubts and questions if he was going to play, but him being healthy and being out there is really good for baseball, and it's exciting for the Dodgers to have him back. But we would have loved to have him here, but it didn't work out.
And just off that, how difficult was it seeing him walk off that mound in Dodger Stadium in October 1st last year? Right?
Yeah, it was pretty gut wrenching, and then not knowing what it was and could it be the last time, that's not how a guy like that's supposed to go out. So for him to be healthy and back, it's really awesome to see.
Andy?
What did you do during the lockout?
I worked out a lot, and just tried to be as ready as possible, but, moved into a new home, so I got to enjoy it a little longer than you would have, but did a lot of working out.
Have you, your brother was in a spot, right, where he was like, not that you're an old guy, but he was the veteran guy with a bunch of younger players. Have you, asked him about you segueing into that role with this team, any advice or things like that?
I did have a few conversations with him. It's probably going to be a constant conversation with him. I was fortunate enough to kind of have a bunch of guys around, and then even when I became an older guy, there were still older guys around. So I didn't have the full burden of it, and I still don't feel like I have the full burden of it. It can't be on one guy. This is going to be a collective thing to get us moving in the right direction and staying on path. So I'm excited for it, but it'll definitely be a learning curve.
So expectation of winning every day, those are the exact things that Chris Woodward said yesterday was going to be his message to this team today. Clearly he said that, and clearly that's part of your perspective. Did you guys have any conversation about how you take that and kind of animate it for a younger team?
I think that's a constant thing. You can't just say, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do." That's not. Words are superficial. You got to get out there and you got to grind. You got to put the work in. It's a day-to-day process. It's not just, "Hey, let's talk about it and it's gonna work." So this organization is committed to that, and the guys in that clubhouse are committed to that, and that's just what it takes. It's gonna take good old-fashioned hard work.
And then the thing about it kind of locking in that you're not a Dodger anymore and that you're here, what's the visual that hits you that kind of brings that into reality?
I don't know what you mean.
I'm sorry?
I don't know what you mean.
So the whole idea of locking in that, hey, the past is the past and things have changed and I'm a Texas Ranger now. Was there something this morning that was a good visual for you?
No, I just think that you've accepted your reality, I guess, is what you're looking for, and you know what your job is, but your job stays the same wherever you are. You know, you're trying to make your team better. You're trying to win that day. You know, I don't know if I fully understand your question.
That's okay. I don't know if I do either.
Levi?
I'd like to combine the recruitment question and the brother question. Have you tried to talk Kyle into coming out of retirement?
I had some conversations with him, but he's extremely happy with his decision, and it's almost comforting for me to know that he is that happy. You know, you never know, like, if he was ready, this and that. How do you know? You know, looking on the outside in, and for him to be so certain that he didn't want to come back, it was really quite happy for me to see that. You know, he's made the right decision. He's where he wants to be, and you know, you can't blame him for being happy. You know.
Is it strange to think of yourself as an older guy?
For sure, you know, it really is. I know I've had experience and stuff, but I mean, I don't feel old, you know. So, it's interesting, you know. It's a new dynamic that I'm gonna have to not live with, but accept and know, you know.
I was gonna ask the
Okay.
question.
We'll take these two questions off the Zoom. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Corey. You know, it's a 4-week spring camp. You guys kind of went through it in 2020. What are some of the things you have to do to be ready for the opener, and what are some of the pitfalls you need to avoid?
You got to play. You got to get out there and play. And the hard part is not building up too fast and not being ready. So it's a fine line of, I got to get out there, you got to get reps, but try not to do it too fast and too much to, you know, kind of tweak or not be ready to be sore, this and that. But you got to get out there and play.
During the lockout, did you do any research on your new teammates or reach out to them? Like, did you go to Baseball Reference and look up, I don't know, Andy Ibanez or anything like that?
No, I stayed away from that, you know. But we were in constant contact and we were reaching out, and everybody was wanting to be involved, wanting to know what was going on, and trying to be as prepared as possible when we showed up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, last one on the Zoom, Stephen Hawkins.
When did you actually get to camp for those of us in Texas? Did you get there yesterday or did?
Yeah, I got here yesterday morning.
Okay. Hey, you know, Marcus was in there earlier talking about how you guys, you know, you're finally getting to be on the field together. You guys he said y'all were kind of connected to the hip and would be. What was it like to finally just you and him be able to be out there and just do baseball?
It was awesome. You know, we're at the point now where you're done with the, I guess, quote unquote business side of it. You know, it's all about baseball. It's all about going out there and competing and learning each other, and that's the fun part.
Is it something that you've embraced, though, that the two of you are both going to be there a long time, and that y'all can help really build something together?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we understand our roles and understand what they're expecting and what we're expecting, and going out there and just doing it. You know, it's going to just be going out there and putting the work in.
Last question. He said you were one of his favorite players because you make it look so easy. So I'm giving you a chance. Is it a mutual admiration society?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anybody makes it easy, it's him.